CVE Gaming.
Read the video description for more information.
Hello everyone, my name is CVE Bird and I am here with CVE Rims, and welcome to another podcast. This is podcast number 4 and this podcast is titled Your Attitude is the Problem. In this podcast we will be addressing the attitudes of the community and the attitude of some players.
I'll start this off this time, and I have a story. I was playing this Sedura player and I was winning the matches and I could hear him through the mic. And basically, he was like, I could hear him from the mic, he was like, oh, when season 2 comes out, Glaciers won't be able to do this no more, ha ha ha. So in my head, I was just like, okay, I hope in season 2 I do find you again. Now, obviously I didn't at the time, the changes for Glaciers and Sedura were not known. Sedura got the worst end of the stick, I would say. Not too bad, but she got more nerfs per se. So I come across him in season 2 and I'm doing exactly what I'm doing in season 1, but this time it's worse. Then he's like, oh, when Khan Ra comes out, you won't be able to do this no more. I haven't faced him again since, but I'm aware he still uses Sedura. And the point I'm trying to make with this is that his attitude was stopping him actually looking at the real picture, because I could tell you exactly how the match goes. Anytime he hit me, even on lockout, he was doing at least like 20% or 30%. When I was hitting him, I was doing 40 plus. Also, the matchup is not in Glaciers' favor. So if I'm really beating you up in a matchup like that, then there's clearly a problem. And rather than go, oh, well, you won't be able to do this when this happens, it should really be like, well, what's going on? If my character beats his character, then there's obviously something I'm doing wrong as a player. But instead, he just wanted to be like, nah, well, probably when season 2 comes out, Glaciers is going to get nerfed and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And this will go back to playing your character like he isn't going to get buffed or any adjustments. Because there's a lot of players I see and they're just like, oh, well, I don't care. When this happens, you won't be able to do it no more. And that's fine in some respects, but rather than just be like, oh, well, you won't be able to do that, then you should look at it and be like, well, it's not going to happen tomorrow, so what can I do to deal with that? Or what can I do, basically? Or am I just going to have to live with it? And some people don't really think about these things. And I think a lot of people's attitude is that they're used to being spoon-fed. And I think this is probably one of the problems with a monthly update, is that people get spoiled. Because if you know there's a monthly update, then it's like, oh, what's going to happen this time? Who's going to get nerfed? Who's going to get buffed? Oh, my character's going to get buffed. Your character's going to get nerfed, because that's just wrong. And I think that attitude is kind of just, once again, holding you back. Unless there's something blatantly wrong, then what you should be really thinking about is, this is the character I have now, and the character is not going to get buffed. What can I do? And by doing that, like I say, you kind of push yourself to work with what you have, or work in the resources you have. Because imagine if there weren't any monthly updates, then you would basically be stuck with a lot of stuff in the game. You're basically stuck with a lot of stuff in the game, and you wouldn't be going, Keats, please do this, and then you'll just be stuck, and then people will just cry. And then, as Keats would always say, adapt is a very beautiful thing to watch. When I see it, it's very always like download complete, but people don't even press start on the download, and they just stayed on the screen. And same with dealing with winning and losing. I think when it comes to winning and losing, some people's attitudes are not in the right place. Obviously everyone's different. Me personally, when I lose a match, unless I get beaten very badly, I'm kind of just like, okay. And then somewhere during the day, I'll probably be sitting down, and then I'll probably think about the match, and I'll be like, oh, I could have done this there, and that there. And then somewhere else in the day, I'll probably turn on Killer Instinct and look at it. But more often than not, I just think about it in my head. Some people, when they lose, they go straight to the lab and they think about it. Now, other people, when they lose, I've seen a few things happen. When people lose, they just think, this person's just better than me. And that's kind of like a very simple way to think about it. I remember Bird always used to tell me that rather than thinking someone is better than you, you just think of it, there's levels to this. And at the moment, this person is on that level and I'm on this level. Can I get to where that person is at now? And I think that's a very important analogy, and I think it's a very good analogy to have, because if you just say, this person's better than me and that's it, then you're not really pushing yourself to really get to that level. If you think about it is that they're on this level and I'm on this level, let me try to get to that level. Because by using that train of thought, it's helped me, because when I faced Paul B in a set, I faced Rico in a set, I faced CD Junior in a set, and I've lost to them. And people probably don't know that, but yeah, I've lost to them. And rather than think to myself, well, obviously they're top players, I'm gonna lose, I lost, that's just it. I thought about it this way: they're over there and I'm over here. Now, what's important to me is that are they so far ahead that I can't see them, or are they in somewhere where I can actually see where they are and I can actually see where I need to go? If I can see where I need to go, then I know what I need to work on. But if they're just so far ahead, then there's probably problems. And for me personally, when I lost the matches, I wasn't like, you know what, their character needs a nerf, or my character needs a buff. I just thought to myself, they're over there, I'm here. If I wanted to get to that level, I need to be able to do this. I need to look at these matches and I need to do whatever, which I actually haven't done, but because I'm quite happy with the level I'm at. But if I was to go to that level, then I'm aware of what I would need to do. And I think people need to be honest with themselves, with the level they're at, because I can tell you right now, there are people, not even in this game, but probably in other games, there are people who think they're better than they are. And I'm not trying to be rude, but some people, they're good, but they're not that good. And some people also underestimate themselves. And that probably bothers me the most, when I see a player with a lot of potential and they underestimate themselves. And to people who are thinking that they're the God's gift, when they're really not. I think if you think you're the God's gift and then someone comes along that probably you haven't heard of and they just mess you up, then you're not really the God's gift, are you? And I remember back in the day when people had no idea who I was, and I was going around beating people in exhibition, and they were like in a state of denial. Actually, recently I had one person, I always beat him, and he sent me a message, and he was like, you're the best player in the world, don't make me laugh, all the top players are better than you. And he sent me a link, and the link was one match of me losing to this guy, and it was all the way in season 1, and I faced this guy in season 2, this guy who sent me the message. And I looked at the match, I was just like, okay, but this very same guy, I have a video of me beating him up for 20 minutes. I could have easily sent you that link and just say you were saying, but at the same time, that's a link of me facing another guy. It's not a link of me facing you. It's me beating you. Are you that guy? So, and I never really said I was the best player in the world, so I don't really know where he got it from. But it's just an attitude like that. He could have said anything. He could have said, GG's, what do you think I need to improve on? And I would have gladly told him. And I think people sometimes might be afraid to ask for help. Or even so, when people, I think like there was some. This is not me speaking about anyone directly, but I've noticed that when it comes to streams and that, and they have their match with the streamer, and then they say they'll give advice if you're a subscriber. And to me personally, I get it, but I think a person shouldn't have to just subscribe to get advice. Some people might just generally want to get better and improve, and I think advice like that shouldn't be paid for, in my opinion. Advice like that should be free, and I always say sharing is caring. But that's just my opinion on the matter.
Hearing what you're saying, and I'll just kind of chime in on that before I speak about what I see as a problem with attitudes, is that whenever you look at people who are starting a game or they're playing a game, they look at somebody who in their eyes they see as good. And that person might have more experience in a game or might just generally be very fundamentally strong through all fighting games. So they might have just come onto Killer Instinct at the same time that the other person has. But because they have experience in other games, they can pick up characters really quickly because they may be playing a character which is fast and they like characters like this. So they just get into the character within 5 minutes and they're doing some really good stuff. And then that person will look at that person who's just picked up the game just like them and they see them doing amazing stuff. And because they can't do that amazing stuff, they automatically think that person is better than me. And that's not the case. When people say somebody is better than them, they are looking at that person who can do something that they can't do. And usually what that person's done is put in time, effort and belief into their own ability that that person who thinks that person's better than me has not done yet, or maybe has a problem doing in general. So they look and they say, because I can't do what he or she does now, or probably they think sometimes later, and this is where the attitude problem is, they think that person's better than me, and they immediately then have that belief system. So when they play that person, they're coming with a negative thought. They're not coming and saying, let's just see how this match goes. Maybe this match is not in my favor, like character to character, how the characters are designed, but let me just see what I can do, because I don't know how this person plays. They immediately then just look and say, well, this person plays that character better than I do. We're playing the same character. Let's just say they're playing Cinder, for example. Well, I know this guy's one of the top Cinders and I'm not as good as him, so he's going to beat me. That's a wrong attitude. It's very simple. There's levels to this thing. Top players will know. Everybody who is a top player is usually a top player because of their own creativity, the people that they play with, and sometimes the people that take them under their wing and show them things. I'd be you heard me say so many times, when I played this game, there were things that I could not see. Rims has spoken about it to me before. He said, you know, when you play a game and you get that sight, you know exactly what you need to do, which is something that I've now got with Agonos. I didn't have that sight. I couldn't see what I need to do with the character. But sometimes people just can't see what they need to do. They need to be shown or given help. And when I first came to Killer Instinct, I didn't see what Rim saw. And he showed to me, oh, you know, you're breaking in very obvious places. And I was like, I am? And he just showed me certain things. He said, you know, you should mix up. And he just sat me down and said, this is what I feel you need to do, because this is what I do. And to Rims, he couldn't probably understand why I couldn't see it, but I was just completely oblivious to it. Now, I may have got it later, I may not have, but he had to sit me down and say, Bird, this is certain things that I have seen, that I can see for whatever reason you can't see. And this is the reason why when we came together and started a team back in 2008, or whenever it originally was, a long time ago, that was the whole point of me getting the team together, so that we could help each other to level up. Because our whole thing was that if I'm good, and you're good, but then one of our other team members who has our name is terrible, that makes us all look bad. We all want to be strong. We all want to be successful. We all want to be winners. And don't forget, winning is a habit. To be a winner, you can be a winner and lose. But the whole difference, the things that separates winners from losers is that winners play until they win, whereas losers lose faith in themselves and eventually give up. There are some times when you're outplayed, and that does happen, but majority of people that lose, it's an attitude. Majority of people that win, it's an attitude. There are people that are winners that lose, and then they come back the next tournament or the next event and they win because they said, you know what? It's their attitude towards why they lost. So they might look and say, like I always say, the most important thing is this: bad players win matches. Good players win matches. Good players lose matches. What you need to understand is this: you need to, whenever you play a game, do not focus on winning. Do not focus on losing, definitely don't do it, but don't focus on winning. Because if you outplay somebody or do what you've done in practice mode, you will win if it goes to your game plan, to your vision. But what I would say is this: whenever you're playing a game, regardless if you lose, analyze what you did well, analyze what you could do better. If you win, especially if you win, analyze what you did well and what you can do better. If you win, focus on what you can do better, because that's where the growth's going to be. If you lose, focus on what you did which made you lose, and then put all your energy to say, what can I now do to make it so that next time I'm against this character, or next time I'm in that situation, I get the better upper hand, or I potentially win because I've conquered that thing that made me lose. So remember, when you win, focus on what you could have done better and be diligent and work and say, what is it? Even though you've won, don't get happy that you've won. Say, what is it that I could have improved upon? What are certain mistakes that maybe my opponent didn't pick up on? When you lose, look at your loss, critique it, but then be aggressive to say, what's it now that I can now do to make it so that doesn't happen again, or now that I win. And that is the attitude of a lot of winners. You have people that no matter what the game developers do to their character, they will continually win or place high. Doesn't matter what nerfs they get within reason. Everyone will be like, oh my gosh, this character's now like it's 1 frame less than and they'll just get really upset with everything. And then someone else is like, cool, I'll just find something else. If you nerf that, I'll just find something else that I can do. Okay, well let me see, okay, that's been nerfed, but let me look at the improvements and see what I can now do and set up off of that. Whereas everyone goes, oh my gosh, the nerf, I use that all the time, oh my gosh, the nerf. And they don't think, well, what have they added? Or now that that's been nerfed, why was that nerfed? Okay, so now that they've nerfed that, what does that now mean that I have to do to get that same result? And people don't think that way. And it's all about your attitude. Everything, I believe, starts in the mind. Everything starts from the mind. Even if you think about going to the gym and everyone works on their body, you first have to think, well, maybe I've got a problem with my body. I need to start eating better. Oh, maybe I'll start looking at things. Before you've even done anything physical, your mind is the thing that propels you to the change. And I say it to everybody, your mind is the most important and most powerful thing, because it's your mind that's going to take you into practice mode. It's your mind that's going to make you sit down and grind out ranked. It's your mind that's going to make you figure out tech. It's not your actual hands doing it. Your hands follow what your mind tells it to do. Everything stems from the mind, and that's the most important thing you need to work on. So, Rims, I know I've spoken for a little while. I'm not sure if you've got anything you want to say with that, or if you're finished up, or...
Just to quickly say, I think another important thing is when Bird says going to practice mode, there's more to practice mode than doing combos. Practice mode essentially gives you all the tools to recreate a situation that you've been caught in, and to work it out. And I think a lot of people don't do this. And you could play this game for a long time and be in practice mode doing combos for like 2 months. Someone else could come along and in a month could make vast improvements, because what they do within the time has a lot more impact. Because if they're recreating the situations and really thinking critically, rather than just going in and practicing a combo, then obviously the results are going to show. It's not necessarily about how long you play the game is a factor, but it's not the most important factor. It's about what you do with the time in which you use a practice mode. And this goes the same for when you face people in sets. I've had sets with people and I might beat them like 10-1 or 10-2, or I might lose 4-10. And one thing I've always felt is that it's not necessarily the score. The score is important, don't get me wrong. But like, say I must have beat a Jago player 10-1, and he was like, kind of like, I thought I improved and whatnot. And I said, you have improved. I just said to him, don't think about the score, just think about it this way. Look what's happening from when the match starts to when the match ends, and look at what happens in between the matches. Because we've had a lot of matches and you've been hot on my heels. It's just that I've managed to pull out the win. Obviously, you look at a match and you just see win-loss, but you don't know what's happened. You don't know the circumstances of a win and a loss, and I think that's very not looked at a lot. Because if someone wins, someone could barely win compared to a convincing win, or someone could lose or barely lose compared to a convincing loss. And I think that's a very important thing to bear in mind. It's not always just about winning or losing. It's about how you won. It's important to know why you won, and it's important to know why you lost. If you're winning and you don't know why you're winning, then I think you need to really think about why you're winning all of a sudden. The same way, if you're losing and you don't know why you're losing, you need to reflect on why you're losing. And that's, once again, goes back to adapting. If you can adapt, then you will stop losing. So yeah.
Have you finished your point, or did you have something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I have no more to say.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening to this podcast and spending this time with us. We hope you found this podcast informative or helpful. We will see you in another podcast very soon. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Visit us on our social networks. Click next video or click the previous video.